Since you mentioned Joe Rogan in that little example, what happened to you in terms of Bicep 2, I want to kind of speak at a high level about a particular thing I observed. So I was a fan of Joe Rogan since he started the podcast. Just listening to the podcast. I'm a huge fan of podcasts in general.
Yeah.
And it also coincided with my entry into grad school and this whole journey of academia. So grad school, getting my PhD, then going to MIT, and then Google, and then just looking at this whole world of research. What I really loved about how Joe Rogan approaches the world is that he celebrates others. Like he promotes them. He gets like genuinely, and I now know this from just being a friend privately, he genuinely gets excited by the success of others. And the contrast of that to how folks in academia often behave was always really disappointing to me.
Yeah.
Because the natural, just on a basic human level, there is an excitement, but the nature of that excitement is more like, I'm happy for my friend, but I'm really jealous and I want to even outdo them. I want to celebrate them, but I want to do even better. So that's even for friends.
Yeah.
So there's not a genuine, pure excitement for others. And then couple that with just you now as a host of a popular podcast know this feeling, which is like, there's not even a willingness to celebrate publicly the awesomeness of others. People in academia are often best equipped technically in terms of language to celebrate others. They understand the beauty, like the full richness of why the cool idea is as cool as it is, and they're in the best position to celebrate it. And yet there's a feeling that if I celebrate others, they might end up on the cover of Nature or whatever, and not me.
Game, right?
It's they turn it into a zero-sum game. The reason why I think Rogan has been an inspiration to me and many others is that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And forget money and all those kinds of things. That I think there's a narrative told that academics are this way because there's a limited amount of money, and so they're fighting for this. I don't think that's the reason it's happening this way. I think you can have a limited amount of money. The battle for money happens in the space of proposal. There's networking. There's private stuff. Public celebration of others and just how you feel in the privacy of your own heart is not have to do anything with money. It has to do with you having a big ego, not humbling yourself to the beauty of the journey that we're all on. And there's folks like Joe Rogan, who in the comedian circles is also rare, but he inspired all these other comedians to realize, you know what? It's great to celebrate each other. We're promoting each other, and therefore the pie grows.
Yeah.
Because everybody else gets excited about this whole thing, and the pie grows. But right now, the scientists, by fighting, by not celebrating each other, are not growing the pie. And now, because of that, sort of science becomes less and less popular.
It's a flywheel. And exactly. No, and I want to point out two things. One is that I remember you went on Joe's show maybe a couple of years ago, and then he gave you a watch. He gave you like a Rolex, right?
Yeah.
And I tweeted to you, and I think
Omega.
Omega. Sorry. Okay, fine. The watch that went to the moon, which we will get to in a bit. I don't think he could give you what I gave you, though. By the way, and we'll get to what that final gift package is for you.
And by the way, I also wanted to mention, because when you said Joe Rogan, I would not be upset, and you should definitely go on Joe Rogan. And we had this conversation with him.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when I was so moving to Austin, and had a conversation like, don't you think it's weird, like if we have the same guests at the same time or whatever? He's like, fuck that. Yeah. I want you to be more successful than me. He truly wants everybody, like especially people close to him, to be more successful. Like there's not even a thought like.
But you know why he does. And this is what I tweeted to you, and one of the few things I think you have retweeted that I sent you. I said, someday you're going to give that to somebody. And today I wanted that to be me. No. Joe's Omega. No, but the point is, he sees in you that same, grandiosity, that same genuine spirit, graciousness. And I think that's true. I mean, you do something very rare. I don't want to turn this into too much of a love fest, but I do want to say, even back to Andrew, who I've almost been hagiographic about, just treating him like a saint. He said to me the same thing when in a moment of peak, said like, God damn it, like I have to train these guys and women that work for me so that they can be better than me, so that they can go out and compete with me for the same limited amount of funding from the effing NSF. That wasn't who he was. That was just an expression, like I'm doing something which is fundamentally, but you know what? When you have kids, hopefully, please God, you will someday. Because I think, and I hope we can get to talk about that later, but part of investment and part of doing something with when you have a kid, like you can get married. You can marry someone because she's rich or he's rich, or you can marry someone because they're good looking or he's good looking. You can marry for all these different reasons that are ultimately selfish. There's no way you can have a kid and be selfish. Nobody says like, oh, you know what? I really want this thing that's 3 feet tall, that doesn't speak English, that craps on my floor, that wakes me up all hours of the night, that interferes with my love life. Nobody says that because it doesn't benefit you for months and months. A friend of mine who actually does the videos for me and does a lot of my solo videos, he's having his first kid. He's like, what do I do? Because he always gets stupid advice. Oh, catch up on sleep now. Like, yeah, I'm going to store sleep in my sleep bank. Like, I don't think Huberman and you talked about that, right? You can't do that. That's stupid. What you can do, give the kid a bath. Feed the baby, let the mother relax. Like, in other words, do the things. And this really relates back to what Aristotle once said. Aristotle once said, why do parents love kids more than kids love parents? As much as you love your dad and your mom, they still love you more. And because you love that which you sacrifice for. Here's a proof. I know a lot of families that have kids with special needs. Some with severe, one of my uncles on the Keating side had severe, what they called mental retardation. Now it's probably has a different name. That out of the 9 other brothers and sisters, he was their favorite because they had to sacrifice so much for him. And I think of that, in the small case, like Joe is kind of mentoring you or whatever, and you're going to mentor someone else. You love that which you sacrifice for. Sacrifice is reduction of entropy. It's storing and investing, and you want to protect that.